Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Welcome to Maconi Entertainment for what will be an exciting for fun race around Daytona International Speedway. Tonight, we're taking the ARCA cars around this 2.5-mile super speedway, the center of American Motorsports, Daytona International Speedway. I'm Adam Thompson, and joining me, Ron Mons, and of course, Howie Burrows behind the cameras. Ron, we are at the homeland of American racing.
Yeah, and I love Daytona. Of course, I'm usually partial to the road course, but we aren't running that here. We're running the classic 2.5-mile high banks here. This track is historic. It's maybe the most storied oval in the world of American motorsports outside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, whether it be the stories of NASCAR that stretch back all the way back to when this track opened in 1959, to the brief little bit of IndyCar history that they have around here, which I'll probably talk about a little bit later on in the show, because that's usually what I do on these broadcasts. I love Daytona. It puts on some good racing, and here with these ARCA cars for the 2026 version of Jeff Maconi's ARCA Boot Camp, we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun tonight here, Adam, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, a boot camp for some drivers to get some experience around Daytona International Speedway, especially in the ARCA car. These four-cylinder race cars definitely pack a little bit of a punch, but the slipstream is what matters in these race cars, and we're going to see that on full display here tonight. So make sure you stick around by hitting that subscribe button and that like button. And this is going to go on for the next 3 nights, tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. So make sure you tune in for all of the action, potential carnage, as we know many ARCA series drivers. It's kind of 50-50 in what kind of race you are going to see. A lot of drivers in this field as we are into qualifying here, and we are just about to wrap that up. 50 seconds to go on the clock, and we will have our race ready to go at that point. 15 cars is what I am being told, so not a bad field of drivers, some good experience to get around this Daytona International Speedway. And Ron, I think we're going to be in for quite a show. 15 cars can still pack a punch.
Yeah, it can. You don't need a lot of cars to tango here at Daytona. As long as you have more than one, you're fine. You can run a 2 to tango race here at Daytona. 15 cars, though, that's going to give us enough drama maybe throughout this race to talk about, where we may have to worry about the possibility of the big one taking place. I'll have to think about what strategy these racers may run here as well, but just looking forward to this. I have a feeling we're going to have no shortage of storylines throughout this upcoming race.
Well, that's what we are hoping to see. Qualifying all said and done, so the checker flag has flown. We're going to get ready to go racing here. 5-minute warm-up, so the drivers to make any sort of adjustments on their race cars. Of course, the number of different paint schemes you can see out there, of course. Yeah. And let's take a look at the starting lineup here. So on the pole position, the 19 of Christopher Hudson. Starting on his outside, the number 10 of Richard May. Row 2 on the inside, the number 2 of Brandon Meese. And on his outside, it's the guy who's running it tonight, the 86 of Jeff Maconi. Tim Sester in the 30 is starting 5th. And on his outside, the number 48 of Jeremy Briggs. On to row number 4, Kirk Mills, the number 69, will start in 7th, and the 31 of Devin Morrell will start in 8th. Row 5, Michael Winter in the 99, and Andrew Register on the number 52, rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10, the number 3 of Randall Ramsey, and starting 12th, the 16 of Michael Cullen. Rounding out this grid here, the 96 of Eric Thomas starting 13th, and on his outside, the 78 of Jaden Newson. The number 11 of Cameron Tracy will start 15th, and the 28 of Alexander Ortega will start 16th. And the 18th spot. So 18 cars on the grid here. We'll see. We've actually a number of those drivers. We did not see a couple of qualifying times here, Ron, which in a race like this, qualifying, I don't think particularly matters too much.
Yeah, no. really here at Daytona. You can set a qualifying time. It's pretty much just for bragging rights, though, if we are being honest, and it doesn't convert at all into a race because you got so many different factors in the race that you can't have it all in qualifying. Not a group qualifying here with this race. Everybody running out there on the racetrack by themselves in the session. So no worries about the draft. No worries about lifting up. There hasn't been too much going on here, but as we see the field out there on the racetrack, I think we're about to get a start here in a few moments time. We're going to be moving ahead into the race session and looking forward to seeing what sort of pandemonium is going on right there. But let's get this race up and rolling. I think the session is about to draw to a conclusion.
And right before massive impact, well, guess what? Got it going. Well, we're just getting word now that Jeff Maconi somehow made probably the biggest mistake that you could probably make as a series admin, and that is removing yourself as an admin, Ron. How do you do that?
Yeah, I have never done that before. I've done many goofy things, including trying to cut to an ambient noise with a TCR race at Watkins Glen on a different network a matter of 24 hours ago and not actually having the car audio on like the absolute doofus that I am. But, I will throw up my hands and say that I was the one that had to advance the session just because Mr. Maconi could not. So, yep, if anyone wants to throw any stuff my way, just say that I had to do what I had to do. I had commands barked at me, and I was under starter's orders. Take a look at the race information here today. 50 laps, which at Daytona is not a lot. That's about, 125 miles doing the quick math in my head? See, I can think sometimes. Not really. One faster pair allotted to these racers, which 50 laps may go by somewhat quickly. One faster pair most certainly can. 3 green-white checkered attempts means that we could go past that 50-lap distance. And Adam, I'm not a betting man. If I were a betting man, I probably would be homeless. I wouldn't even have socks for that matter. But I have a feeling we may end up using, at the very least, one of them.
I would take that bet, actually, that we probably will see one, possibly two, just the way that these cars can run. The one difference, the biggest difference in these cars comparatively to a Xfinity car or truck is just the size of them, the aerodynamics. They give you such a draft that you can just get sucked up right into the driver in front of you's bumper. And if you give a bad push, well, that's game over right there. And when these guys are coming to the final few laps, well, someone will want to win it. So, and that's when the carnage can really start. And of course, in ARCA, if you've ever watched an ARCA race around Daytona, well, it can kind of, it's a coin flip of what you see. Some good racing or some wreckfest going on here as the pace car goes through the back straightaway here. This high banked 2.5 mile super speedway, Daytona International Speedway, about to get underway under the lights. Of course, there's nothing more beautiful than Daytona under the floodlight. So here we go. Field through turns 3 and 4. The safety car will pull off here in just a moment. We will go racing here. Looks like a total number of 18 drivers on the grid. Some other drivers who popped in, so we'll see how this goes. Pace car pulls into the pit lane. Everybody gearing up, ready to go. The car's through the restart zone. And green flag will fly, and away we go for 50 laps around Daytona International Speedway. Christopher Hudson, a great start off the line, takes it to the point. And he's got some company, though, on that higher side with Richard May and Jeff Maconi, as they have now gotten up together, pushing that draft forward. And finally, Brandon Meese getting to the back bumper of Christopher Hudson, but the lead going to Richard May as we go down the back straightaway for the first time. Everybody's sorting themselves out. Nothing too fancy-pantsy quite yet, but that top line moving very quickly here as Maconi tries to make a move down the inside, but it was blocked off by Richard May.
Yeah, Maconi and May chasing each other's tails as they headed their way down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Looking at drivers nearly fanning out 3 wide as they headed their way off through that turn. But now looking at Maconi trying to pull out. He wants to lead the first lap, but the honor is going to go to Richard May as they start lap number 2 with nearly ending up 3 wide, as I think we will end up with 3 wide right behind your leaders.
Side by side in the first 3 rows, then further back you can see it going 3 wide. It's getting tight up at the top of the racetrack, and everybody just sorting themselves out still. That middle lane, not many cars involved in that lane, but I'm surprised by that just with how many cars are trying to make it 3 wide. But now you see Richard May getting a push from Christopher Hudson in the 19 machine, but Jeff Maconi, the 86, still side by side with your race leader. Then you have Richard May now losing the race lead to Jeff Maconi as they're still side by side through the back to the front straightaway here now. But now 3 wide in the just a little bit further back here, almost getting a little bit out of control here. And Richard May is going to take full advantage of that and take that inside lane. And he is now 3, 4, 5 cars ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, everybody keeping their seatbelts clicked at the moment, trying to just whittle the laps away, but we are seeing some level of aggression. Drivers chasing each other's tails once again. Look at Hudson and May nearly colliding as Brandon Meese gonna try and follow in suit. Look at May really getting hung after dry now. He's gonna be stuck at the bottom as Jeff Maconi trying to sweep around the outside here. Feel like we're gonna see a lot of racers stabbing each other in the back throughout the night, both at the front of the field, the mid-pack, even at the back. Everybody wants to win this race here at Daytona, but only one driver can.
As the front 2 continue to drive away and pull away little by little here, that inside line as the draft really starting to become full effect here. As now we see Richard May, he goes up to the high side, gives a little bit of help to Jeff Maconi in the 86, but out in front, still Christopher Hudson, your pole sitter, with Brandon Meese trying to give him a nice big old shove down the back straightaway. 3 wide as we go down the back straightaway. Finally, Richard May pulls out of it, and he is back into that top side. But the 30 of Tim Sester, he is currently on that higher side, and he is falling right like a rock. Excuse me. That was not Setzer, excuse me. Can't quite tell because the numbers aren't matching up with the timing graphics. So, but right now, what we do know, Christopher Hudson in front, Brandon Meese in second. Third place goes to Richard May in the 10 machine. And Jeff Maconi on that inside line in the 86. And he is side by side here. But up at the front of the field, Christopher Hudson controlling the pace here. That's going to be the key to this race. It's just control, 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 but not running out of fuel.
Yeah, when we get a little bit further along in this race, I think the strategy is going to pop up once again. Only a 10th of the way through this race. I will say, Adam, talking about some of the numbers not necessarily matching the cars, that is what we can call a simple case of trading paints being a bit of a pain in the ass. Looking at Christopher Hudson holding on to that top spot. Richard May freight trading from the outside as they wreck farther behind.
An unfortunate incident there involving Andrew Register and Eric Thomas. Jeremy Briggs, no caution flag though. And we continue on racing here at Daytona. Now the pack start tightening up here. We won't get a replay of it, well, because no caution. So we stay live and in action here, but the car's starting to get a little bit loosey-goosey towards the back end of the field as we get ready to come back down the front straightaway in front of the virtual crowd here at Daytona International Speedway. You can see Jeff Maconi. He's kind of being hung out to dry as the bottom line has the numbers. That's one of the things about Speedway racing is that you have to have the numbers in order to advance forward here. Now you can kind of see Brandon Meese. He's thinking about going to that top, that higher line there, and he is not going to do it. It's still 3 wide further back. Nobody trying to get in line, which is actually messing up that middle groove. No one's able to advance forward because you got 2 cars on the high side using the side traffic as we go down the back straight into the turn number 3.
Oh, and everybody running as hard as they can at the moment. I mentioned how drivers were trying to whittle the laps away. I think we're going to see the aggression kind of come in waves here. Adam has, oh, that's going to be contact made. A big wreck as they head their way onto the start-finish straightaway. Cars fanning all around the racetrack once again.
No caution called. Once again, surprisingly. So now we finally get our first caution here of this 50-lap race on lap number 8. We'll go to the first wreck that didn't cause a caution here on replay. And let's take a look. This was the first incident of the night here as they come through turns 3 and 4. You can see the 96 of Eric Thomas really gets a good run. He's maintaining his throttle control, which again, super big deal in super speedway racing. And then everybody bunches up and he gets right into the grass and then takes out Jeremy Briggs in the process. And that is, unfortunately, that did not bring out a caution. Now let's see it again from the onboard. Yeah, just the accordion effect. And we'll go to the crash that does bring out the caution here. First caution of the night, again on lap number 8. This is further back in the field with Michael Cullen. Just gets turned. A little bit of bunching up action happening, side-by-side racing, and that's just super speedway racing right there.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that already here in this race, but that's just a product of this style of racing, both in real life and in the sim. That's the reason why car owners fear plate racing, whether it be at Daytona, Talladega, or the newly reconfigured, still saying newly reconfigured, even though it was done, nearly 4 years ago at this point, Atlanta. Even then, people are very much so nervous about that race every single time it comes around. Under the first yellow flag of this race, it comes a little shy of the first fifth of this race being completed. Guilty as charged for throwing the yellow. Yeah, see, iRacing has a very unique way in which they go about throwing the yellows, and sometimes they just will not do it unless a car is stopped. But yeah, I've done race control before for some pretty big events, so I'm not going to say that I am an experience in this. I know what I'm doing, kind of, sort of.
Sometime. Well, we have a few guys coming down pit lane. Looks like Jeff Maconi down pit lane. He's the first driver down. We'll see what happens here as you get told, good call. All right. Don't give Ron any appeasement. Don't give him anything to inflate his ego as big as it already is. So Jeff Maconi coming into the pits, going to take just fuel, no tires needed, and you can actually count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars down pit lane. And Jeff Maconi, he'll come out, but he will be in the middle of this pack, which I don't know if you want to be there, but you will have the fuel strategy on your side at this point. It depends on when that next caution does come out, but at the front of the field, Richard May is your leader with Matthew Heel in second. He's gained 14 spots since the drop of the green flag, so that makes it very, very interesting to see what's going to happen there. He is what we call the hard charger. Cameron Tracy up 7 spots with Wesley Lynch. Randall Ramsey up 6 spots with Alexander Ortega, and 4 spots up for Andrew Register. Those are some of your movers. We'll keep an eye on that as the race progresses here. We got 40 laps, technically 41 laps to go here at Daytona International Speedway, and we only had 1 caution here, Ron, even though we probably should have had 2.
The first incidents, the drivers cleared themselves up somewhat well, I would say. I think that was my justification and all of that. See, the goal that I have here tonight, having impromptu race admin privileges, is I want to make sure that my calls are better than the ones that NASCAR makes in real life, which I think is a low bar. To be a NASCAR race officiator nowadays, you basically have to have a bodily temperature roughly in the 90s.
I mean, I could just say there's debris on the track and that would bring out a caution. So, but
reminds me of that exploded cheese factory in France. Nothing left but debris.
Oh boy. I'm not even gonna, y'all can read that. Just, we don't need to pour more salt in the wound of Jeff Maconi here tonight. But Richard May on the point. And we are going to get everybody double file up here and get ready to get this restart underway. Pace car lights are out. We are going to get ready to go back racing with 40 laps to go. When 39 when they cross the line, and it will be very interesting. There's a big old gap in that second row. All right, well, someone's going to get a really good run at on the restart here. Richard May, he is ready to lead this race. He's been battling for the race lead for the first 11 laps of this. He is out in front of Christopher Hudson, our pole sitter. He is technically one of two people in the top 5 who has lost positions. He has lost 2 so far because he is going to restart third. As everybody heading down the back straightaway. You know what I'm really disappointed in? I don't see any Cletus McFarland paint schemes, that kinetic paint schemes. I'm pretty disappointed in these guys. Not seeing that out on the racetrack. Richard May has to be mentally ready for this. He has been battling like crazy and had a little time to cool off here. Field through turns 3 and 4. Pace car will turn into the pit lane. We have 39 laps to go when they cross the line. Field through the front straightaway into the restart zone. And we are green flag racing once again here at Daytona. Good start there by Richard May. He actually goes immediately up to the top side to block off Matthew Heel, but that opens up the door for Christopher Hudson. But he doesn't have any help. Well, unlike Richard May, who has some help from Matthew Heel, as we go through turns 1 and 2 after the restart, you can just see these guys are still pushing as hard as you can, but some pretty big significant gaps as we go down the back straightaway. And who's going to make the first move? Christopher Hudson cannot find that pace. He is falling backwards here down to 4th. Cameron Tracy gaining a spot into 7th. And out in front, Richard May with Matthew Heel trying to stick with him. But everybody's sticking to that top side. That top side's got some momentum. And now Matthew Heel to the bottom side of the racetrack here, Ron. And here we go. Race back on.
Oh, and they are already fanning out 3 wide. Look at the terrible run. That's going to stack them up big time in the midfield. They keep it back up and rolling. Maconi's stuck there. That driver was dropping down oh so slowly through the field. Everybody else was blowing his doors off. Big checking up there. They were able to get through it somewhat clean and green. 3 wide, a little bit farther in the back. It's music to the ears of everybody that we haven't seen another incident. They had their way back down the super stretch once again here in this race. Unlucky lap 13. Surprised we haven't seen some drama on this restart considering how frenetic the racing really is. Don't want to jinx it though.
Christopher Hudson goes back out to the point with Richard May in tow, but Brandon Neese up on the high side. He's behind Christopher Hudson. He is trying to give a push, but the gap is completely there. And Jeff Maconi pushes Richard May out to the front. And now Maconi down to the inside as they go down into turns 1 and 2. Maconi goes out in front here with Wesley Lynch right on his tail. Power in numbers. That is the name of the game in drafting tracks. And right now, Maconi, he's taking full advantage of that with that additional fuel that he took on the pit stop. Richard May needs some additional help. He's got the 12 car. That's not the 12 car. That is the 33 of Wesley Lynch. And, big crash on the front of the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars taken out. And the yellow flag comes out in lap number 14.
Oh, it was only a matter of time. Everybody was racing oh so hard. It actually started a little bit earlier on that lap as Andrew Register smacked the wall on the number 52 machine. He's out of it, but even more racers are as well. Look at that huge sledgehammer hit into the barrier. Adam, we're seeing the racing get so frenetic, so hair-raising. Really gutsy stuff for a vast majority of the field, but maybe bit off a bit more than they could chew as we take a look at the mad bumping game that ended in tears.
Yeah, Wesley Lynch was the offender, and that just gave a bad bump right there, which just took out pretty much the entire field, except for this guy, Seth Thomas, able to drive through that and keep himself nice and clean. Now taking a look at what happened to Andrew Register in the 52 car, just got pushed into the wall and then took a shot from Seth Thomas. He does do a good job trying to save it, but unfortunately, there's a tire barrier on the outside of the racetrack, and that really punished him pretty hard. Luckily, most of these drivers still have a fast repair.
And thankfully for the field, Andrew Register's car did not bring the yellow out, even though his car was stopped. Thankfully for my own sakes, the rest of the field stacked it up about 30 seconds after that incident took place. So no harm, no foul. Well, a lot of harm done, but no foul done to me. So we'll take the wins when they can be allotted. Take a look at this as a field. It was getting really tense there. The problem is with the momentum here, it works in both ways. If you have a lot of momentum throughout the field, that'll cause it. Oh man, I saw that round of ARCA brakes there. Holy cow, some driver threading the needle. Seeing some drivers come down in pit lane, in fact. But no, the momentum, it's a double-edged sword because sometimes it can cause wrecks because there's too much momentum. Other times wrecks can be caused because there's just not enough momentum and everybody's starting to stall out. And I think that was a bit more of the latter, what we saw there bring the yellow out.
Yep, and everybody coming in here, a lot of these drivers going to use their fast repair at this point, maybe get some new boots on and a full tank of gas. And guess who comes out in front? Alexander Ortega, who was the offending driver on the crash that brings out the yellow, coming out second in the pit lane. That's going to be Christopher Hudson, so he does maintain being out in front of the field. Tim Setzer in the number 30 comes out in fourth. Good pit stop from him. Jeff Maconi falls all the way down to seventh in the 86 car. You can see Brandon Meese there as well. Jeremy Briggs just... So apparently not every driver has taken a fast repair here. They have manually repaired, and, that's just a little bit of damage, done. You don't need to use your fast repairs. But Seth Thomas still has his. As he avoided that entire incident. Jeremy Briggs still has his. Wesley Lynch, along with Richard May, Randall Ramsey, Andrew Register, Michael Cullen, and Eric Thomas, all still having their fast repairs. But Alexander Ortega, Christopher Hudson, Tim Setzer, Brandon Meese, Maconi, all have used a fast repair. And that could have some big implications here, as we're only on lap number 16, Ron.
Yeah, if you use up those fast repairs early, you're going to be running your butt on the ragged edge of disaster later on. So everybody not setting themselves up too well later on if there is some sort of drama that befalls them. Do want to quickly touch on this because I have the ability to be a race admin. I can take a look at everybody's incident points. And I do want to announce that there's not a single driver in this field that has a 0x. The most is 12x for Andrew Register, Cameron Tracy, and Devin Moore. But then a decent chunk of the field is still at 4x, which, not great, but compared to 12x, it's not too terrible. No incident point limits here, which it is Daytona. That is certainly understandable. If we see a driver hit 100x, chances are that will not happen because we only have 50 laps here to do that. That would be genuinely impressive if we saw a driver hit 100x, but I will be keeping tabs on this throughout the race. Not to shame the drivers who have the high incident points, but to underscore the fact that Daytona is the spot where it's what's that town in Spain where they have the bull run? Paloma, I believe it is. Paloma Bull Run. That's basically what Daytona is to Florida, which is saying something because a lot of crazy stuff happens in Florida already.
Did that just say I finished a carb race with 100X. How is that even possible?
The power of believing. 4X.
54. Okay. Okay.
That makes it a lot better.
Okay. Well, field is bunched up. Jeff Maconi did come back down pit lane, so I wonder if there were some penalties dished out there. I couldn't quite see a So here we go. Lap 17. We're going to go green on lap 18 here at Daytona. Seth Thomas, your race leader, a new race leader who was in the back and somehow avoided the cartage. Pace car is off field, ready to go green. Flag racing. We are off once again here at Daytona International Speedway. And that top line of Alexander Ortega on the point. He immediately gets out in front. And Seth Thomas has nowhere he can go. He just has to ride this out as that bottom lane absolutely got shuffled back. And now those cars on the top side, they go down to the bottom here. And you can see all these guys, they want to get back out in front. Clear does make a difference here at Daytona. You don't want to be stuck in the pack for too long because, well, then you end up being part of incidences that you don't want to be a part of as we go down the back straightaway here on lap number 18. You can see Kurt Mills, he has moved up into the 5th spot. Seth Thomas from the lead to 6th place in just a matter of a couple of corners. And now Jeremy Briggs trying to make a move. You can see guys are getting a little bit squirrely, but they're all maintaining the pace with Alexander Ortega, now your official race leader.
Yes, Ortega up at the front. Everybody's still a little bit squirrely. Whenever we get into these ARCA boot camp races, especially at plate races, I feel like just plate racing, period. You know, we see it in the Fast Fridays. We've seen it in previous series broadcasts here on Maconi Entertainment as well. There's some drivers who will think, okay, one big one, and I'm going to take it easy throughout the rest of this race. Then there's some racers, even in a race like this, where there's no prize on offer. It's just bragging rights. They're still going to go for the gutsy moves lap after lap. Doesn't matter how many incidents they get involved in. They will run this race as aggressive as they can until their car can run no more. Already seeing racers split at 3 wide. That's Ramsey on the inside. That's going to be close.
Oh, man, things getting argy-bargy here so early. We still got 31 laps to go here. Everybody just needs to take a chill pill and relax a little bit. But Kurt Mills, now your new race leader with Alexander Ortega, and one into the wall there, but saves it. And everybody's still pointing forward here, but I think everybody's going to start getting away from that wall. Jeff Maconi, he's trying to come up through the field, but he doesn't have the numbers now up on that top side as we go into 3 and 4. Kurt Mills leading the way with Alexander Ortega in second. Randall Ramsey in that 3rd spot. You know who's been consistent so far? Tim Setzer. He's still in 4th place here, Ron, with Matthew Hill and Cameron Tracy trying to battle it up.
Yeah, once again, seeing momentum wreak havoc to some of these racers, it can be an incredibly fickle thing. And now everybody realizing that there's not a lot of momentum, they're going to slip into the freight train, try and take it easy for now. And then we're going to start to see racers begin to break away. Look at Maconi. He's the first to break away. Driver's going to join him there. 3 drivers on the high side. You can make that 4. Maybe will we get a 5th? I feel like a cattle auction here at the moment as they head their way down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. There's going to be another breakaway right as I thought that everybody was going to try and settle it down. Well, they did settle it down for all but a lap.
Yeah, I guess my chill pill comment didn't reach the drivers here. And we officially have 30 laps to go here this time. 29 laps to go in this one of the 50 schedule here. Kurt Mills, though, leading the point with Alexander Ortega in second. Randall Ramsey in that number 3 car trying to keep up. Gets a little bit of a gap, but now that slipstream really coming into play as we go through 1 and 2. Get ready to go back down the back straightaway where you can gain a lot of time. That draft is so powerful down the back straightaway. It's amazing how quickly these cars can move. just for 4 cylinders in these race cars. These cars, not very quick, but when you get them in a pack like this, they look absolutely amazing. As we're seeing some cars, one sideways, and he saves a 3 wide, almost 4 wide. As we get ready to come back down the front straightaway, Maconi was on the top side, probably praying to God, please don't hit the wall. And he ends up saving it. But the pack, the top 5, starting to pull away. Maconi has nowhere to go. He's got to get back into the draft here, as there's no power in numbers on the high groove at this point. And Kurt Mills doing a great job controlling the field here on lap number 23 down the back straightaway.
Yeah, so everybody running single file at the present moment, just settling the race into a groove. Everybody trying to fill into a comfort zone. But how long is this section of the race going to last? You know, we've already seen enough drama. We haven't even gotten to the halfway mark of this race. We've seen a lot of craziness break out already. Will we see more of that go on? Will we see drivers throw caution to the wind, even though they're trying to settle it into a groove? Looks like the back half of this pack is going to try and break away. I thought they were. No, it looks like Maconi is just going to get hung out to dry. I believe that's Wesley Lynch behind him there, and that is going to cause them to get shuffled down big time, dropping down like an elevator with a cable cut.
Well, someone in this low line's going to move, I feel like, because now that top side, it's really starting to move a little bit. You got 3 cars up on the top side. The bottom side, not very stable. There's quite a bit of gaps in between the cars, which actually harms that bottom line from moving forward here. The top 3, very, very tight. You go 4th on back, not so much. And that is what's causing this top line to really start gaining momentum. And you can see Kaiser, they're just not able to hold that bottom side as well as they would probably like to here. And as we get ready, we're on lap number 25 of 50. Kurt Mills, though, leading this one. It'll be curious to see who's going to lead the most laps in this one. Kurt Mills on pace to do that, as the top 4 starting to really bunch up together here. Maconi has dropped back down to 5th, and now there's 4 cars on that top side, and finally somebody's starting to move up a little bit towards the top side of the racetrack, but is going to get the door slammed shut in his face by both Brandon Meese and Wesley Lynch. You can see Seth Thomas, he's still there. He was the leader at the restart. Isn't able to move up any further, as now we are officially halfway done with this one, Ron.
Yeah, so halfway through this race, seeing some drivers shuffle big time a little bit farther in the back. Really nervous looking at this field. Even though it is a little bit smaller up towards the front, it's still always very nerve-wracking to see what these racers are going to try and pull. Don't want to give some love to a 4-car train a little bit farther behind. Devin Morrill, Christopher Hudson, Richard May, and Jeremy Briggs all running in a pack of their own. Michael Winter and Andrew Register also running in their own fight as well. Eric Thomas also running on the apron at the present moment. Not sure what the deal is there, but either way, it may be broken up, but everybody is keeping it clean at this point of the race, which I gotta commend, because that is a heck of a lot easier said than done here at Daytona. It can so easily end in catastrophe. It has already ended in catastrophe for a lot of the field. Everybody at this point, though, they're a little bit tired of running under yellow, which is always so demoralizing out there on the racetrack. Feels dull just to run around a racetrack at no speed at all, even offsetting the mini heart attack that can be felt at the center of a big one.
Well, I'm guessing the drivers in the pack behind the main pack here is hoping for a debris caution, and they would love that right now. They want to get back up with this group here that's running out in front. But Kurt Mills, he's the driver we're keeping our eyes on right now, because Kurt Mills is doing everything he can to stay out in front, as that top side still trying to gain momentum, but again, power in numbers, and it's not quite working out here, as Kurt Mills is just hugging the bottom, hugging that yellow line, and that's exactly what you have to do when you're leading one of these races. You just stick to the bottom, and you do not get off the bottom of the racetrack unless you need to pull off a block coming down the stretch, as we have 23 laps to go here at Daytona International Speedway, live on Maconi Entertainment. We hope you're enjoying watching this from home. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button and get this up the algorithm, because this is some fantastic racing. Now Jeff Maconi, he makes the move for 3rd. found that gap between him and Randall Ramsey, is able to clear it. And now he's going to be eyeing a potential move for the race lead here, as we're now going to go down to 22 laps to go here at Daytona in the ARCA Menards car. Kirk Mills, though, your race leader, doing everything he can to keep out in front, but the gap starting to form a little bit on that bottom side.
Yeah, everybody keeping it honest. I will say, I don't think there's going to be any worries about debris cautions. I know me personally, I will not throw debris caution unless there is a dead moose on the racetrack, which I don't think can happen, even though it is Daytona, as that's Kirk Mills nearly getting turned by Jeff Maconi. Kirk Mills, one of our Maconi Entertainment colleagues, nearly getting spun out in front of the pack. The stall out the momentum is for the first time in what feels like about 50,000 years, the top side actually going to be leading.
Yes, and the three cars on the top side, they clear themselves right in front of Kurt Mills, and Kurt Mills probably had the lift there. That was a Code Brown moment for the driver of the 69, but Jeff Maconi goes out to the point with Matthew Heel hot on his heels of Jeff Maconi, Wesley Lynch in that third spot. He is sticking to that bottom side, but here comes Kurt Mills. He wants the race lead back. He said, y'all took it away from me. Well, guess what? I'm coming right back at you here as they come down the back straightaway, excuse me, and going into turns 3 and 4, that top side starting to fizzle out a little bit here. But who comes up? Wesley Lynch. He's into the top side, and somebody into the wall. That was Kurt Mills. He was into the wall here, and he loses all of that momentum and had a little bit of damage, but iRacing does the iRacing thing and just gladly puts that front bumper right back on and says, go right ahead. But he is losing the draft here, and he is going to be out of contention here unless the caution comes with 20 laps to go.
Yeah, with that bumper popping back onto that race car, I thought I was going to have to eat my words about a yellow, but nope, we remain clean and green here at the moment in this field. Looking at the top side, breaking up into kind of 3 racers. It's interesting to see this as a hearing that we may have just seen Matthew Heel get abducted by a UFO. So hopefully anyone tuning into this broadcast has that alien protection device that you can buy on Facebook. I know I remember back during the pandemic, they were selling crystals that would absorb 5G energy. So not sure what sort of Illuminati shenanigans were involved in all that, but Matthew Heel has now been abducted as Kirk Mills dropping down like an anvil push out of a helicopter. He has been shooted up and spat out by the pack a little bit farther behind.
Another driver to keep an eye on, Seth Thomas. He is up into third. He led at the restart and fell back all the way behind this pack. And now he is in contention to win here as we go 19 laps to go. And you got Ramsey as well. He is trying to bust a move up to the front here, but Maconi doing everything he can at this point, pretty much pulling a Kurt Mills, hugging the bottom of the racetrack on that yellow line as we go down the front straightaway to go 18 laps to go in this one. What a great first night of the Maconi boot camp, which is live tonight, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night. And you can catch all the action here on Maconi Entertainment's YouTube channel. You don't want to miss a thing of this because this is going to get spicy. As Jeff Maconi still out in front, but a lot of wibble wobbles in the middle part of this pack, and it's going to get real serious, real fast, real soon.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there, Adam. It's getting spicy, about as spicy as the time that I've been to a jalapeno, and it felt so hot I got my tongue stuck to an ice pack. 8 cars may not seem like a lot up at the front of the field, but if you give these racers enough of an incentive, bragging rights only here in this race, they're going to go for it regardless. I think we're going to start to see more and more racers go for more and more aggressive moves until something eventually boils over, which I feel like we're getting to here. That very long green flag run. I said earlier on this broadcast, though, it takes 2 to tango. It takes a lot more to really have a party, but 8 cars, you still have enough to have some sort of disaster.
Well, Ron, you better go find some wood and knock right on it because this is fantastic. 17 laps to go, and as the famous James Essick would say in a dirt track race, keep it green, keep it green, and that's what we're hoping for, to see this race finish under green here. We would hate to see this race end under caution here, as there's just that lone race car up at the top side will fall back down into the pack here. Jeff Maconi doing a great job, though, holding the pace. And that's exactly what he needs to do. Just hold the pace, keep everybody behind you, and don't look back. Because Ramsey, he's been eyeing a move now for a couple of laps, but he knows he doesn't have the numbers here. And it's going to take somebody else besides Ramsey to go up into that top groove and try and hang Mr. Maconi out to dry here on night one of Maconi's boot camp. What a great turnout, though, in night number one. We hope to see more tomorrow night. Again, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know exactly when we're going live here on YouTube. Right now, you can see all these drivers, they're just getting a little bit too antsy here. This is the part of the race where patience pays off. You cannot make a move too early and you can't make it too late. Just got to hit it at the right time here. Seth Thomas, he's thinking about that. The way his car is moving, he's thinking about making that top lane start to move a little bit, even with the 8 cars that they have. What's going to be very interesting is that second pack behind them, they're starting to gain a little bit. Here, Ron, they're starting to gain on this pack a little bit, just inch by inch as the laps start to tick off.
Yeah, so keep an eye on that margin. It's sitting at the moment at about 2 seconds, but even as we're speaking, it's starting to get cut down a little bit, as that's a racer running all the way below the double yellow line. You can't do that. But no, I wonder whether or not we will see that pack farther behind converge on the top one. Now, if we do have a yellow, if there is any sort of drama and chaos that breaks out there on the racetrack, it'll be a lot easier for those cars behind to catch up. That goes without saying, frankly. And if we have this field bunch back up once again, I feel like it'll be anybody's race, honestly. I haven't seen a driver really stick at the most as one that will grab the checkered flag. And that's really what you could say about plate racing, period. And never really know who's going to get the victory until that car comes across the line and takes that checkered flag at the end of the race.
Well, finally, this lead group starting to form up a little bit, but still some loosey-goosiness happening as we head down the front straightaway. 14 laps now to go officially here of the scheduled 50 laps. And I say scheduled because we do have green-white checkers enabled, which means this could end in overtime. So keep an eye out. Who do you think at home is going to win this one? That farther pack starting to drift back a little bit. Now they're not staying in line as they were. Now these top eight cars starting to get a little bit more spicy. We'll say spicy. And this is where, again, the patience will pay off for whoever can be patient, be the most patient driver of the bunch. Still got Ortega there. Ortega's starting to make a move. And it's going to be one of those things. You almost can't just make a run. You just maybe, if you can get one car and get back into the draft, good. But you got to be able to just be patient about it. Because when you got a string of cars like this, 8 cars only, if you're the first one to make the move, it might be your biggest mistake of the race here tonight.
Yeah, it's one move, one small little misstep, and things can completely unravel for you. Either some sort of incident taking place, I'll take you out of contention. Whatever the deal may be, it can sting, and it can sting real bad if you have one little trip up come time for the very end. Everybody needs to execute perfectly as we get to the very end here. But I'm starting to see a bit of, like a sense of uncomfortability that I haven't really seen thus far from some racers. I always say this about plate racing, Adam. I think you can attest to this. I think I've said this to you as well on some plate races that we have covered in the past. When it comes to plate racing, it's always a matter of seeing who can be the most comfortable in the least comfortable conditions. Plate racing is always nervous. It's always uneasy. It's always nerve-wracking. But if you can be the creme de la creme in a moment like that, if you can peak above the rest, you can really do yourself some wonders. I gotta say, though, as I've been going on that little spiel, look at this pack going side by side, and look at the pack farther behind. That gap was about 2 seconds not too long ago. It's now cutting down to about 1.5 seconds.
Well, that is exactly what you're hoping for if you're in this second pack. You're starting to sense a little bit of the draft in front of you if you are that lead car in ninth of Devin Morrell, in eighth. And he is doing everything he can to lead this field back to the race lead. And they are absolutely steamrolling here down the back straightaway. And that's just because those two cars started the side draft, ruined some of that momentum. And guess what? They have now officially caught back up here with 10 laps to go. It's anybody's game here as we get ready to go down the front straightaway and go officially 9 laps to go. Our pole sitter, Christopher Hudson, in ninth. He would love to get a win here after a disastrous race here so far. Richard May is also back into contention here, Ron.
Yeah, everybody's chugging along as we get to the end of this race. A single-digit amount of laps left. Jeff Maconi still leading the field as they slide big time farther behind. That's the 20. Got to loop it around on the infield glass. We remain green. That's not glass, that's grass. Oh, he's nearly going to slide off the track. We may have a spin that may bring a yellow out. No, he is still below the apron. We remain green at the moment, keeping everybody honest. Devin Morrell has also had a moment in his own right as well. He got turned right towards the front of the field, got spun in front of the 2. Drama breaking out there on the racetrack. Everybody running into some sort of difficulty. In the meantime, all of this drama going on has allowed Jeff Maconi to hold on to the race lead as we take a look at the double whammy, this time with Morrell.
Morrell just jumping right in front of Brandon Meese and just gets spun around and keeps it forward, but that is a difficult position going down to the apron on the back straightaway. And now we are back live. 8 laps to go here. And that pack, they made so much ground up just to get back into the lead pack. And that was all pretty much undone due to Seth Thomas and Devin Morrell. But keep an eye out on Ramsey. He's getting a little bit twitchy there and trying to get to that back bumper, unsettle Jeff Maconi. And that's what it's going to take right now to get Jeff Maconi off the point. And that's just to rattle his cage, as Dale Earnhardt would say. And that is going to be a tough task. But here comes Cameron Tracy in that 33 car. That's Wesley Lynch, into second. Now we're getting 2 lines side by side. Wesley Lynch on the high side. Jeff Maconi, he's going to lose the race lead. Chris Hudson, he wants a chance. He's going to make it side by side and hang Wesley Lynch out to dry. But now that bottom side ends up getting up and collected together. Chris Hudson gets to the point. Hudson, he would love to win this, even though he was our pole position. Whoa. He tried to clear himself, and as some NASCAR drivers would famously say, not clear there, and he definitely wasn't clear. We're going to take another look at what happened there. Hudson, he tries to go down to the bottom as Wesley Lynch doing everything he can. And no, it was Brandon Meese he made contact with. Definitely not clear in that situation. And Wesley Lynch, just with a bumper out in front of Chris Hudson, ends up paying the price there. But now we have a new race leader, Alexander Ortega, out to the point as we come back live here at Daytona. Chris Hudson, he's going to have to do a lot of work now because that high side really starting to move. Here comes Richard May, who at one point was leading here before a caution came out, and actually he was collected in that crash. Richard May doing everything he can. Chris Hudson, he would love to win this. Alexander Ortega, pretty much anybody who has led this race is out in front in the top 3. And you also got to be careful, Jeff. No! Chris Hudson hard into the wall. Caution flag comes out.
I'll be honest, Adam. I was going to say a few laps ago, I know it's a bit of a faux pas considering the last time I said this, it ended in disaster almost immediately. I had a bad feeling about it. Everybody was racing oh so hard. Something was going to break, and what breaks is a pack of about 6 cars straight into the fence. That was huge hits for pretty much all of them.
Randall Ramsey involved, Richard May, Chris Hudson, all showing meatball flags. And what ends up happening here? Well, Richard May and Brandon Meese coming together, and unfortunate there for Chris Hudson. He was just an innocent bystander in that entire ordeal. Had nothing to do with why they all crashed and ends up getting collected. His race unfortunately unfurls there. My question is, fast repairs, where are we sitting at with those? That is going to be the key question. Who has them? Who doesn't? Who's going to stay in this one? Who isn't? Chris Hudson doesn't have a fast repair. Richard May does have a fast repair. Maconi does not.
Unfortunately, Richard May is actually out of this race, so he's called it a night. I think that's got to cut the field down to size quite a lot, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yep, as we see some guys with some fast repairs already used. It's just a matter now, who's going to get to the end? Who's going to lead this? Alexander Ortega was leading here. Brandon Mees, who was the cause of the crash, I would say, one of the causes. He's in second. Wesley Lynn, he's in third. But watch out for Jeff Maconi.
28x at the moment too. He's at 28 incident points, which is 8 clear of actually a tie for second between Brandon Meese, Cameron Tracy, and Christopher Hudson. Hudson had this race. Lots of the field coming down pit lane, including Maconi. That looked borderline.
Well, and you can see some damaged cars in the pit. And yeah, unfortunate there for Chris Hudson and Richard May. Well, Chris Hudson does he does have a fast repair if I'm reading this correctly. I had to correct myself. So unfortunately he had to tow back. So he is going to go a lap down. So he is out of it, but he'll at least be able to get back out there. But we are going to have overtime here. Officially. So this will be the one green-white checker of the night of the 3 possibly that can be used. So that adds a little bit of an element. So, Ron, didn't we make a bet?
Well, I said that if I were a betting man, I probably would not even own socks. So we did not make a bet, but I did say that chances are we probably will use all green-white checkered attempts. I'm not sure if you and Howie in the production truck had some sort of bet, but I will stay out of it.
I think you had a bet with me there.
Yeah, $5 Monopoly currency. We go through all 3.
I'll take an Arby's gift card.
Yes, I bet a $50 Applebee's gift certificate.
I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
See, Applebee's is good. The only bad experience I've ever had at Applebee's, and it wasn't even a bad experience. It was for my birthday dinner not too long ago, and some of the sauce on the burger that I had was interesting. It was a burger with Fireball whiskey sauce, which that should have been the sign that I shouldn't have had that, because Fireball, I'm not even sure is fit for human consumption, but I
was gonna say, the minute you said Fireball, I immediately just went, huh?
See, I'll tell you one, this is honest. I once sniffed a bottle, an open bottle of Fireball, and it reminded me of the one time back in my karting days when we had to do some changes in between sessions, and I went out there, and a couple of turns in, I felt my fire suit was a little bit damp, only to realize that fuel was spilling all over my leg, and I had to pull over before my cart bursted into flames. That was what I thought when I got my first ever whiff of Fireball.
You've never experienced Fireball.
If drinking Fireball is like gargling gasoline, then I don't want to experience it.
No, that's Everclear.
Touche.
Don't ask me how I know all this, all right? We'll just say personal experience.
Also, I want to give some love to Andrew Register, who was very desperate to rejoin this race in P10. He was actually at about 90 miles an hour, 95 by the time he hit the pit lane line. I was worried about that. Buddy.
Well, is he even? he on the lead lap?
I
Yeah,
believe he is.
But he has a black flag.
Yeah, so.
Ugh.
I was wondering whether or not that was something I need to clear, but that was not. I'm not sure whether he thought that he would get away with that and pick up a black flag clear. He will not. So we'll briefly take a look at this before we get a restart here in a few moments' time. I'm expecting some shenanigans, if I'm honest.
He was just, you know what? I'm just going to try and get out there, boys. Pace car has pulled off the speedway, and it is now officially time for green, white, checker racing. It's overtime here at Daytona. Another good start by Ortega. That's something that's been a strong suit of Alexander Ortega tonight is the restart. Able to get out in front and keep that bottom line moving. That is going to be the key at this point. Keep the bottom line going like a train. And now you've got some guys up at the top of the racetrack here, but can they find the momentum? But being on top early on may be an advantage here as they're starting to move up just a little bit. Maconi, he's liking what he's seeing here, but as now the field picks up speed in the turns 3 and 4, this time by, if they hit the white flag, next flag ends the race. The green-white checker rules. Everybody's staying calm for right now, but here we go. White flag displayed. One more time around Daytona International Speedway of night 1 of 3 of Maconi Boot Camp here in the ARCA cars. Alexander Ortega, your race leader, and one spins. Keeps it forward, though. No caution. Everybody.
Moral.
It was Morrill. All right, Morrill out of this one. Who is going to lead it here? You got Meese. Now you got Wesley Lynch. Who's going to get there first? Maconi, he's trying to come fast. He goes up to the top side, and there's a big wreck behind. And we stay green. We're racing to the checkered flag here tonight. Ain't no pussies in this place. And you got Ortega, now Meese out in front, 3 wide. You now got Maconi back out in front. Here they come to the checkered flag. It's gonna be Brandon Meese who gets it at the line.
8 thousandths of a second at the end of it. Oh my God. We killed half the field, but we got an awesome finish, so that makes up for it.
They race to the line, and here they come. You can see them 3 wide further back. Maconi doing everything he can to push that car to victory lane, and just at the line, by a squeak of a bumper, Brandon Meese takes it home.
Oh, and that was a massive accident on that last lap. Fantastic finish and an awesome win for Brandon Meese. Started this race in third, was up and down the field like Otis Elevator, but he walks away with the W. Jeff Maconi comes up close once again. That was a massive incident, though, coming to the checkered flag. I believe Wesley Lynch actually ended this race at 32 incident points, as we see. I think he was at the epicenter of all this as we got to the end. Seeing all that, there's Lynch. There you can see the 52. He was the one with the black flag after speeding on pit entry. Oh, is a huge stack up. Kirk Mills involved in that. I can't even blame one driver for that, frankly. I think it was just about 50,000 different things going on at the same time that led to that crash taking place.
Holy cow. What a finish. And Brandon Meese wins night 1 of the 3 here on Maconi Entertainment for the Maconi Boot Camp. Here's the official results. After 51 laps of racing, Brandon Meese by 8 thousandths of a second takes the win from Jeffrey Maconi. Alexander Ortega in third. Cameron Tracy pick up 4th. Michael Winter, where in the world did he come from? Well, he gets a top 5. Kurt Mills, who led a good portion of this one, will finish in 6th. Devin Murrell in 7th. Andrew Register in 8th. Jeremy Briggs in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, and unfortunately for him, did not make it to the checkered flag, Wesley Lynch. Outside of the top 10, Tim Setzer in 11th. Christopher Hudson in an unfortunate accident for the green-white checker. Randall Ramsey in 13th. 14th goes to Richard May. Seth Thomas will pick up 15th. Matt Hale in 16th. Eric Thomas in 17th. Michael Cullen in 18th, and 19th goes to Jaden Newson. And we're going to bring in some of the drivers here from that one. Of course, we're going to bring in Jeff Maconi in first. Jeff Maconi, second place finish here tonight. First off, fantastic race, but you come up short by 0.08 of a second.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a wild run to the end. I don't run enough like side by side at super speedways in these cars. They tend to go like single file, or you have like two massive lines. So just like a 1v1, I wasn't sure what I needed to do on the outside. So I guess I could have doored them harder or side drafted a little better, but yeah, it was just a really fun race to the end there. I looked in my mirror and saw the massive wreck, and I saw that they were two on the bottom and it was just me on the outside, and then the guy leading got turned around, so I was just going for it. But yeah, it was a ton of fun, a really clean race, cleaner than what I was expecting, and definitely a good time.
Yes, a very good time. We had a green, white, checkered finish. Talk about, you were leading a good chunk of this race, and that had to feel so comfortable. You were just hugging that bottom side like you needed to, and unfortunately, you just come up that one spot short.
I mean, even to be leading laps is fun, like you said. It's tough to make passes sometimes in these cars. You have to be very calculated with the draft model on iRacing, and I guess I'll find out on Friday how realistic that is. So we've got the Daytona test in the ARCA series Friday and Saturday. And like you said, it was really, really fun just leading that bottom line and taking advantage and jumping out of line when you could to get to the front. But then once you're there, it's pretty simple just staying in front unless people behind you really, really want to make a move.
Well, and with this boot camp, just talk about the reason behind the boot camp here for the next 3 nights.
Part of it is just for fun. It's just always enjoyable, but the biggest thing is it always helps to turn laps, get reps in, and figure out what works, what doesn't. And it's not a direct one-to-one between iRacing and real life. There's a lot of things that are very different. Not only just the seat of the pants feel, but the way some of the cars handle and drive. But it just helps being around other people, getting that stability down, figuring out exactly how, some of the draft runs work and seeing how much of it carries over. So definitely a much greater challenge to actually be out on the track racing at 170 to 200 miles an hour, depending on how many other guys are around you. But it's fun to emulate it here and see what works and what doesn't, and have a good time with people all over the world.
Well, congratulations on a P2 finish. Anybody you want to thank for the podium here tonight?
Absolutely. I mean, everyone that's jumped on the car has been huge helps, and I can't thank all of them enough. Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment Crews, you guys are always amazing. Chastity Tucker, she's a realtor here in Clarksville, Tennessee, where I live, and is an amazing person and a really, really good at her job as well. Rocket Fizz Clarksville, Capriccio's Pizza, Delk Drywall, and there's everyone on the back bumper. It's too many to list, or on the rear decklet, I should say. But thank you to everyone that has helped out, contributed. I'm really looking forward to the test on Friday and Saturday, and as long as all goes well, the race next month, and it should be a ton of fun and going to be a really good time the rest of this week, tomorrow and Wednesday night as well.
Yep, and for sure. Thank you, Jeff. And we'll turn our attention here to Kurt Mills, who has joined us.
Hey.
Hi, Kurt.
Hey,
Well, an
man.
unfortunate race there for you. You
Oh,
were
no,
leading a good. It was fun, but you were leading at one point, and then unfortunately, just fell apart about halfway through this one.
Well, that's great. That's a great observation, man. I got to tell you right now, That car, look at that. It didn't look pretty. I tell you, that 69 car looks dashing. You look at that car and you just think classy. You think, wow, that thing has some speed in it. Not the driver, but the car. It definitely did. But I can tell you right now, it was fun. Main thing I found the most surprising is I haven't run these ARCA cars in over almost a year now. And I can say I'm stunned by the amount of side draft that you can get here. Like, I got put in the middle 3 wide in the back early in the run, and that thing made me feel like I had 2 dudes grabbing both my arms and could not let me progress anymore. I had run, but I couldn't do anything with it. I tell you what, I just thought that was interesting as heck. But, man, that photo finish was cool. Got turned there at the end. It was just bad. It was just pushing at the end is what it was. But, man, it was fun. I had a great time.
Well, unfortunately, no one read the side of your car. It says, do not crash this car. Nobody read that.
Yeah, the thing is, I have that on every single vehicle I race in iRacing. It always says, do not crash this car. I did an experiment 3 years ago, and that right there is the reason why I only crashed twice in all the full, what do they call it, the NASCAR iRacing Series fixed. For the entire year of 2023, I only crashed out twice. And I attribute to that. So ever since then, I try to keep that on the car. And I'm just glad we got top 10. It was fun.
Yeah, a P6 finish. Got to feel good. Are you going to be joining us tomorrow night?
Oh, hell yeah. I got to drive race cars, man. I love it. It's awesome. And race against a guy like everybody in here. It's just been wonderful. So anyway, I'm going to leave you. Thank you guys for the little talk. Sorry to bother you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Kurt. Have a good night.
You do the same, pal.
Now it looks like there's another driver in there. All right.
Oh, and I think he just disappeared because he went on deafened.
We'll see. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Alexander Ortega here. Now
Yes.
our P3 finisher. You were leading, coming to the checkered flag, and just unfortunately just felt like a little bumped out of the way, and unfortunately come home with the P3 finish.
Yeah. Happened twice there on that last lap. Both in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The same thing kind of happened there with a push that kind of got me super squirrely. And we hung on both times. And, the second time, both Jeff and, who was it? Oh, gosh. I'm
Brandon.
blanking. Yeah, Brandon. They both got around me there. And so there was nothing I could do. I was hoping they would maybe wreck each other because they were dooring each other pretty good coming in the line. But, yeah, just unfortunate.
Talk about your point of view on that finish. I mean, what a fantastic finish. 0.008 of a second separating the leaders there. And when you got behind them, were you like, who should I push here if I need to push somebody? Were you thinking push Brandon or push Jeff?
I was going to try and push Jeff because Brandon was the one who turned me. But, yeah, no, it was pretty cool to watch. If it was Talladega, I think I would have still had a shot because I was starting to game back on him. Just ran out of time, but can't complain with a P3.
Well, we got 2 more nights of racing here. Are you planning on joining us though for those?
I'll definitely try. See if I'm available.
Well, congratulations on a P3 finish, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate it.
And, that was Alexander Ortega, our 3rd place finisher. Well, that one was an exciting first night of the Maconi boot camp here, Ron, and we got 2 more nights of action coming up here.
Yeah, we got some thunder to look forward to tomorrow night, same place, same time here on Maconi Entertainment, and then on Wednesday night as well. So, pretty awesome way to get this 2026 calendar year up and rolling here on Maconi Entertainment. Things have been a little bit quiet ever since the merciful end of the Formula Ford official broadcast that Howie and I used to do. Got to the point where I started to resort to alcohol to make those broadcasts go away quicker. But no, really looking forward to this week. It's got to be some fun, and I always take a little bit of pride of the fact that the ARCA boot camp name stuck ever since the first of these broadcasts back in, God, it was probably May of last year, something around that period of time, right before the Nashville race. Just a quick little quip that I said leading Jeff into the interview room right towards the end of that show, and it seems like that name has stuck, so I do apologize greatly for that. But yeah, really looking forward to this week. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun over the next of course here tonight, next 2 days after this, and tomorrow night as well. Thompson will be back in the booth.
Well, thank you very much, Ron, and Howie, of course, as well. Great job tonight. And make sure all of you watching at home hit that subscribe button with that notification bell, like this video, and make sure you join us again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern for Maconi Boot Camp in the ARCA Menards car. My name is Adam Thompson for Ron Mont, Howie Burrows, and everyone here at Maconi Entertainment. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow night here live from Daytona.